Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Yashodanandana Vrndavan Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrndavan Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Vallava Girivaradhari Gopidana Vallava Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrndavan Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrndavan Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Paramahamsa Paribhajya Acharya Smarta Prabhupada Swami Jaya Ananda Kori Vaishnava Jaya Ramacharya Srila Thakur Jaya Name Sutta Ho Sri Krishna Jaya Advaita Gadadhar Shivadhari Gaura Jaya Sri Radha Krishna Bhogavna Sam Kanda Radha Kanda Jaya Vrndavan Dham Ki Jaya Navadvip Dham Ki Jaya Ganga Mai Ki Jaya Jamuna Mai Ki Jaya Guru Bharata Dham Ki Jaya Swami Bhaktivedanta Ki Jaya All glories to that. All glories to that. Thank you very much.
The following is tape number 10 on the Nectar of Devotion series, given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, recorded between October 20th and November 14th, 1972, in Vrndavan, India.
Is awaiting him. Similarly, for some of our sinful activities, we are awaiting distresses in the future, and for others which are mature, we are suffering at the present moment. In this way...
Yes. This is the chain of accepting the different types of bodies one after another, according to the sinful activity. On the total, without being sinful, nobody accepts this material body. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, we understand, Jisam antagatam papam, one who has finished the reaction of his sinful activities, te dandamaha nirmukta, jisham antagatam papam jananam punya karma. Punya karma means the sublime punya karma is devotional service. Savanam kirtanam Vishnu, smaranam padati. This is the topmost punya karma. Because, as it is stated in the Bhagavad, Sinnatang Satata Krishna Punna Savana Kirtan. Simply, if we hear about Krishna, that is Punna. Even if you do not understand, do not take it very seriously, if you simply give oral reception to the words of Krishna, that activity itself is Punna. Punna Savana Kirtan. So, one who has got advance in hearing about Krishna, that is the result of multi forms of, multi varieties of pious activities. Vasudevi Katharuchi. Vasudevi Katharuchi is the resultant action. Kritapunna punya, these words are used. Just like when the cowherd boys were playing with Krishna, Sukadeva Goswami said that these boys are Kritapunna punya, heaps of pious activities they have performed. Therefore, they have got this chance of playing personally with the Supreme Personality of God. So long we are tinged with sinful activities, we have to accept different varieties of body. Either the body of Lord Brahma or the body of an ant. Indragopa, a small microbic insect, Jastindragopa matamanda mahosakarma. From this Indragopa, the microscopic insect, which is called Indragop insect, from this Indragop insect to the real Indra, the king of heaven, everyone is suffering or enjoying. Actually it is suffering the resultant action of his karma. It doesn't matter what kind of body a living entity has got, but the body itself is the symptom, is the sign that one is sinful. This is the conclusion of the Shastra. Because as soon as one is free from sinful activities, at that time he goes back to home, back to God. Tapta dehang punarjanmanait mami. So, this material body is achieved due to sinful activities, and sinful activities are performed due to ignorance. Therefore, knowledge is essential. Jnana vairag. These two things are essential in human life. Knowledge and renunciation. Renunciation means sinful activities. Go on.
In this way, there is a chain of sinful activities and their concomitant distresses, and the conditioned soul is suffering life after life due to these sins. He is suffering in the present life the results of sinful activities from his past life, and he is meanwhile creating further sufferings for his future life. Mature sinful activities are exhibited if one is suffering from some chronic disease, if one is suffering from some legal implication, or if one is born in a low and degraded family, or if one is uneducated or very ugly.
So, the soul is within this body encased, dehi nasmin jatha dehe. Due to ignorance, he is committing, say for, in our eating process, we are eating so many things out of ignorance, which we should not eat, and creating the sinful reaction. Nana jani bhraman kare, kadarja bhakhan kare. Narsam Das Thakur says. things which are not eatable, we eat, and we circumambulate various types of bodies. Nana jani bhraman kare kadarja bhokhan kare. Just like the hog is eating stew, kadarja, a very abominable thing, but it is eating. Similarly, many other forms of bodies, you are eating very abominable things on account of your particular type of body, and this is due to ignorance. And this ignorance is our greatest enemy. The human form of life is meant for acquiring knowledge, not to keep one in ignorance. Tamasi ma jyotir gama, that is the Vedic industry. Don't keep yourself in darkness of ignorance, but jyotir gama, go to the light. That is the Vedic Indian. So, the best knowledge is giving Krishna himself, Bhagavad Gita. He is coming personally to give knowledge. But we are so unfortunate, we are not accepting the knowledge given by Krishna. We are hankering after some other knowledge given by some defective human being. A human being cannot give us any perfect knowledge. Therefore all the scientists' statements, all the philosophers' statements, they are simply theories, they are not fact, because the knowledge is not perfect. Perfect knowledge can be had from one who is not defective. Defective means generally a conditioned soul has 4 defects. He commits mistakes, he is illusioned, he has got a cheating propensity, and his senses are imperfect. The senses, we are acquiring knowledge through our senses, and if our senses are imperfect, how we can acquire perfect knowledge? That's why we are trying to see the planetary system through microscope or binocular telescope. But the telescope machine is manufactured by a person whose senses are defective. So, through the telescope, how you can have perfect knowledge? Therefore, one astronomer is placing some theory, after some years that is made null and void, another theory is present, because everyone's knowledge is imperfect. So we cannot expect perfect knowledge from the imperfect person. So our process of knowledge is different. Our Vedic process of knowledge is Sadvijnanatham sa gurumeva vigacche samitpani srotriyam brahmanishtam. One has to accept a guru, a spiritual master, who has received knowledge from another perfect spiritual master. Just like Krishna is the origin, perfect spiritual master, guru. So, what Krishna said was realized by Arjuna directly. Therefore, if we receive knowledge from Arjuna or his disciplic succession, then our knowledge is perfect. Arjuna accepted Krishna as the Supreme Brahma, Parabrahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhava. So if we accept the version of Arjuna that Krishna is Parabrahma, he is the Supreme Person, he is the origin of everything, then our knowledge is perfect. I may be imperfect, but because I receive the knowledge from a perfect person, my knowledge is perfect. This is called parampara system. So, in order to dissipate our ignorance, we should receive perfect knowledge. then we can stop our sinful activities. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, Krishna says, Janma karma me dibbam. Krishna appears, Krishna lives here, he teaches, he acts. If we simply try to understand Krishna from the devotee of Krishna, then we become perfect. So much so that after giving up this body, tapta deham punarjanma, without being perfect, without being free from all sinful reactions, we have to undergo the tribulation of accepting different types of body. But as soon as we become perfect, through the perfect knowledge, then automatically we become uncontaminated from this material world, and we become liberated. Liberated means, as I have several times explained, to be situated in his original position. Just like a person gets fever, when his fever is subsided, he is liberated. He is called liberated from the fever. Similarly, when we have perfect knowledge, what is that perfect knowledge? The perfect knowledge to understand that I am eternal servant of Krishna. This is perfect. This is perfect knowledge. Jive Sarupaya Nitya Krishna Das. One has to understand this fact that I am not Krishna, I am not like Krishna, I am not equal to Krishna, I cannot become Krishna. I am Krishna's eternal servant. This is taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gopi Bhattu Padakamalayo Daso Dasanu Daso. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I am not a Brahmin, I am not a Shudra, I am not a Brahmachari, I am not a Sannyasi. In this way, because we identify with the Varnashram Dharma. I am Brahmin, I am Sannyasi, I am Brahmachari, I am Grihastha, I am Kshatriya. These are our designations. But when we become designation free, then I am not Brahmin, I am not Brahmachari, I am not this, I am not that. I am simply pure servant of Krishna. This is knowledge. Or otherwise, anything we identify, that is ignorance. This is knowledge. So, and when we come to this knowledge, that I am eternal servant of Krishna, then I am liberated. Mukti hitya annatha rupam sarupena avasthiti hitya annatha rupam. I am accepting a different type of body and different type of position, and I am identifying myself with that particular position. That is my ignorance. Although I am acting just like a perfect brahmana or perfect kshatriya or perfect vaishya, still I am imperfect, because my perfection is not to act as a vaishya, brahmana, kshatriya, American, Indian, but to act as servant of Krishna. That is liberation. That is liberation. Sarvapadhi vinirmuktam tatparatena nirmalam. Nirmalam means liberation. That nirmalam means sarvapadhi vinirmuktam. The Vaishnava process is to become nirmalam, tatparatena. A real pure Vaishnava simply identifies himself as a servant of Krishna. Therefore he is nirmalam. He is liberated. He does not identify himself as a Kshatriya, Brahman, American, Indian. No. That is not his position. But so long I stick to this designation, I am not nirmal. I am samar, with dirty things. So, we have to be relieved from these dirty things and come to the original position of Krishna consciousness. Then our sinful activities and its reaction will be counteracted.
Having the steps of past sinful activities for which we are suffering at the present moment, and we may be suffering in the future due to our present sinful activities. But all of these reactions to sinful deeds can immediately be stopped if we take the Krishna consciousness. And
Yes.
evidence for this,
Krishna consciousness, if we take to Krishna consciousness, automatically we become immune from sinful activities. The devotional service, the mind being engaged on the lotus feet of Krishna, as Ambarish Maharaj did, Savai Manak Krishna Padar Vindaya, Bachangsi Vaikuntha Gunanuvarnat. Ambarish Maharaj was very responsible emperor of the world, but he fixed up his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, and he engaged his words simply Vaikuntha Gunanuvarnat, simply describing the qualities, the transcendental qualities of Krishna. He used his eyes to see the deity. He used his legs to go to the temple. He used his hands for cleansing the temple. He used his nose for smelling the flower and tulsi offered to Krishna. He used his tongue for tasting Krishna Prasada. In this way, he engaged all his senses in the service of the Lord. So there was no chance of committing sinful activities by his body. It can be done by everyone. Everyone can install deity at his home and regularly worship the deity according to the injunction of the Shastras and spiritual master, and eat prasadam and hear Srimad Bhagavatam, chant and speak Hare Krishna. This is simple life, and one can become immune from all sinful reactions. A simple thing.
as evidence for this, Rupa Goswami quotes from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 14th chapter, 18th verse. This verse is in connection with Lord Krishna's instruction to Uddhava, where he says, "My dear Uddhava, devotional service unto me is just like a blazing fire, which can burn into ashes unlimited fuel supplied to it." Unquote. The purport is that as the blazing fire can burn any amount of fuel to ashes, so devotional service to the Lord in Krishna consciousness can burn up all the fuel of sinful activity. For example, in the Gita, Arjuna thought that fighting was a sinful activity, but Krishna engaged him on the battlefield under his order, and so the fighting became devotional service. Therefore, Arjuna was not subjected to any sinful reaction.
So, the example is that in the fire, you go on giving fuel perpetually, it will burn into ashes. Similarly, it doesn't matter to become sinful without Krishna consciousness. Everyone is sinful. So, to become sinful is not disqualification, because everyone is sinful. But if one takes to Krishna consciousness is just like the fire, and the sinful activities are just like wood. But when the wood is in touch with the fire, so the fire would burn all the wood pure into ashes. But we should not, once we take to Krishna consciousness, we should stop the pillars of sinful activities. Whatever we did in our past life, that is excused. But if we take to Krishna consciousness and if we go on with our sinful activities, that will not help us. Just like the same fire, you take the fuel and add to the fire, it will burn into ashes. But at the same time, if you pour some water also, then it will be useless. Similarly, our past sinful activities, that can be burnt into ashes, provided we don't add any more. Don't take it, now it will burn into ashes, so go on this business and that business. No, that business means pouring water into the fire. It will not burn. Go on.
Srila Rupa Goswami quotes another verse in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 33rd chapter, 6th verse, in which Devahuti addresses her son, Kapila Deva, and says, quote, "My dear Loka, there are 9 different kinds of devotional service, beginning from hearing and chanting. Anyone who hears about your pastimes, who chants about your glories, who offers you obeisances, who thinks of you, and in this way executes any of the 9 kinds of devotional service, even if he is born in a family of dog-eaters, the lowest grade of mankind, becomes immediately qualified to perform sacrifices."
Yes. Sadhopi saddha savanaya kalpa. This is the verse. Actually, we have seen it. Last time, when I was coming via Philippines, so we have got a center there, and it is very nicely organized within 6 months by one of our devotees, Siddha Swarupananda Maharaj and his colleague. So it is very nicely organized, and they are actually dog eaters. These Philippines, they are dog eaters. In those parts of the world, the Koreans, the Philippines, in the Chinese, some of the Japanese, they are dog eaters. But even though they are dog eaters, they attended the meeting and chanted with us so nicely, better than a so-called vaishnava in India. Yes, they are so nice. It is practically seen. So that is also stated confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Sadhopi saddha savanaya kalpate. If one dog eater, a person born in the family of dog eaters, because the dog eaters are considered lowest of the humankind, Chandala, Sapacha. In many places it is said, Ahavato sapachopi garyan jajjibhagre namatubham. Sapacha. Sapacha means dog eaters. They also become glorious provided they chant offenselessly the Hare Krishna mantra. Ahavato sapachato vigaryan jajjibhagre namatubham. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us, it is in the Shastra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has pointed out the Acharya's business. Everything is there in the Shastra. Acharya does not invent anything. That is not Acharya. Acharya simply points out, here is the thing. Just like in the darkness of night, we cannot see anything perfectly or cannot see anything. But when there is sunrise, the sunrise, effect of sunrise is that we can see things as they are. The things are not manufactured. There is already. The things are all the houses, the town and everything is there. But when there is sunrise, we can see everything nicely. Similarly, Acharya or incarnation, they do not create anything. They simply give the light to see things as they are. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out this verse from Brihad Naradiya Purana. The verse was already in the Brihad Naradiya Purana. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama iva kevalam, kalau nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatirannatha. This verse was already there in the Brihad Naradiya Purana, the indication of our activities in the age of Kali. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he pointed out, although he is Krishna himself, he could manufacture so many things, but he did not do so. That is Acharya. Acharya will not manufacture any new type of religion, a new type of phrase of Hare Krishna mantra. That is not potent. This is just like Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is in the Shastra. So that is potential. That if we add and subtract something from these 16 words, that is my manufacture. That will have not the potency. They do not understand it. They are thinking if they can manufacture some new line, adding with Hare Krishna, then he becomes particularly noted. But he spoils the whole thing. That is it. He does not make any new thing. The new thing he does, he spoils the whole thing. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never did so. Although he is Krishna himself, he stuck to the point of Shastra. Krishna, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He also indicates Jasastra vidhimutsijya vartate kamakar. Na siddhing sabhagna. He indicates that nobody can give up the injunction of the Shastra. Brahma Sutra padaishchaiva hetumadhi vininnikam. Krishna says, he can give. Whatever he says, that is Shastra, that is Veda. But still, he gives reference to the Shastra. So, Acharya's duty is to point out the Shastric injunction. They are already there in the Vedas. His duty is, just like there are so many medicines. If you go to a drugstore, all of them are medicines. But the experienced physician, he gives you a medicine which is particularly suitable for you. You cannot say, sir, why you are selecting medicine? You can give any one bottle. That is nonsense. Not anyone. The particular body, a particular bottle, and a particular medicine which is suitable for you, the experienced physician gives you. He is Acharya. So, you cannot say that everything is medicine. Whichever bottle I take, that's all right. No, that's not. This is going on. Jatamat tattva. Why jatamat tattva? The particular moth which is suitable for you at a particular time, that should be accepted. Not any other moth. So, similarly, in this age, in this Kali Yuga, where people are very short-living, duration of life is very short, they are unfortunate, they are very slow, and they take to unauthorized means of religious principles. They are prone to so many disturbances of life. Therefore, this particular medicine for this age, as given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama iva kevalam, Kalo nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatirannatha. Prabhu kahe, ya haite sarva siddhi haiveto. So, we should take the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has especially incarnated himself in this age, Kali Yuga. Kalo sankirtanai prayi jajanti hi sumedhas. This is the Shastric injunction. Krishna varnang tisa Krishnam sanga pangasta parsadam jaggai sankirtanai prayi jajanti hi sumedhas. This is the injunction in the Shastra, that this form of the Lord, who is accompanied by his associates, sanga pangasta parsadam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always associated with Sri Advaita Prabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Gadadhar Prabhu, Sri Srivasa Prabhu. Therefore, the process of worship is Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. That is perfect process. Not to cut short. No, as it is indicated. This is indication in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Varnam Tisa Krishnam Sanga Pangastapa. So when we have to worship Lord Chaitanya, we worship with his associates. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. No, that short method. So that is Shastric injunction. So, in order to get rid of the sinful activities of this age, it is already prescribed in the Shastra and confirmed by the greatest authority, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chetadhatmanam arjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam. So we should all take to this Mahamantra, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. then he becomes eligible to perform sacrifice. That is officially accepted, that a Vaishnava, even born of a dog-eater's family, Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pukkasa, Avira Sambha Jamana Kasadaya, Jannecha Papa. These are the least of low-grade human society, Kirata Hunandra, and there may be others also. There may be others, Jannecha Papa, Anne, any kinds of sinful man. Shuddhanti jad upasraya. If such man takes shelter of a pure devotee, then he purifies him. Shuddhanti. One may question how he becomes purified. He is born of a family of dog-eaters. How he becomes purified? It requires, according to Smarta consideration, he requires next birth. There are two processes of Vedic understanding, Smarta vichara and Goswami vichara. According to Smarta vichara, unless a person born in a low-grade family takes another birth, he cannot be eligible to become a brahmana. But according to Goswami vichara, if he is properly initiated by a bona fide vaishnava, then he becomes more than a brahmana. Sadhupi Saddha. Immediately he becomes eligible to perform sacrifices. So, the problem is that at the present moment we are not taking care. I mean that our Indian brahmanas, those who are spiritual leaders, they are not actually taking care of the fallen souls. But in the Bhagavad Gita, it is sanctioned. It is said clearly, Mang hi partha vyapasritya jepishu papajona. Any person born of low-grade family, papajoni, striya vaishya satha sudra, tepi janti paranga. So, it is the duty of the elevated persons, brahmanas and vaishnavas, to take charge of this business. Krishna says, Jepishu papujana. Never mind, one is born in low-grade family, but he can go back to home, back to Godhead. Tepi janti paranga. So who will take the initiative to elevate this person? Unless one who is expert does not take interest for elevating these fallen souls, then how they will be elevated? This is the problem. But we are not careful about this affair. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore indicated that Bharat bhumite manusya janma haila ja janma sarthak kari karo paropakar. This is paropakar. Those who are born in low-grade family, the most regrettable fact is that in India, the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, they did not take care of the fallen souls. Once one becomes somehow or other a Mohammedan, he has no more chance to come back to the Hindu society. This policy was being followed, and therefore the result is that these fallen souls, whom we call fallen souls, the Mohammedans, they partitioned. Now we are crying. Not only that, I think from historical point of view, this whole planet was India, Bharatvarsha. This planet was called Bharatvarsha, not this portion of land. But because gradually the Vedic culture become diminished. They separated from this Vedic culture, as we have got actual experience. And within 20 years, the Pakistan is taken away from India. See, if we follow that policy, that one who is born in India as Brahman, except him, nobody can become Brahmana, then this Vedic civilization will be in due course of time lost. We should be very careful. Therefore, this Krishna consciousness movement is spreading Vedic culture outside India, and they are welcoming it. Those who are intelligent, they are welcoming it, they are accepting it. We should encourage them. Instead of discouraging this movement, we should encourage, so that the whole world can be united on the platform of this Krishna consciousness movement. If we simply hate low-grade families, low-grade men, that will not solve the problem. Just like when there was political movement in India, the Britishers, they presented so many problems, just like the untouchables, the Mohammedans, there are so many things. The Britishers have put forward these problems. They are not willing to separate the British rule. Only some high class, higher section of the Hindu, they are trying to separate the British rule. At that time, Gandhi stamped the Chamars and the Bhangis as Harijan. That means, as soon as there was the word Harijan, immediately a person will be considered coming from the Chamars and the Bhangis. But such exalted title, Harijan, is offered to personalities like Narada, Brahma, those who are actually associates with Hari. But according to Shastra, there is no objection to access these Chamars and the Bhangis or any low-grade family to make him Harijan, provided he access the lotus feet of Krishna in a regular way by the vaishnava vidhan, just recommended by the Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. Tatha dikha vidhanena dijattam jayate nina. Dikha vidhanena, by the proper initiative process, one can become dija, twice born. Nina, tatha jatha kansanatang jati kansa raso vidhanena, tatha dikha vidhanena dijattam jayate nina. This is the injunction of Sanatana Goswami. Just like by chemical manipulation, by mercury, with tons of bell metal. This is the suggestion given by Sanatana Goswami, that as bell metal can be transformed into gold by mixing with mercury. Similarly, it is a question of manipulating. Similarly, by expert manipulation, in any man, not low or high, it doesn't matter. Any man can be transformed into a Brahman, Bija, twice born. So, this is recommended not only by Sanatana Goswami, by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, and Sukdev Goswami in Srimad Bhagavatam, Suddhanti Prabhavishnave Nama. He recommends that when one becomes a Vaishnava, by the supreme power of Vishnu, Prabhavishnave, he has got so much power that he can turn a low-grade man into a great Vaishnava. That's like Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur, he was born in Mohammedan family, and he was made Namacharya Haridas Thakur. by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Namacharya. The Acharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually appeared for glorifying the holy name of the Lord. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama iva kevalam. Krishna Varnang Tisha Krishna. Always chanting Hare Krishna. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specially incarnated, advented himself for spreading this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and Haridas Thakur, who was born in a Mohammedan family, he was made the Namacharya, the authority of spreading this holy name. Similarly, Sanatana Goswami, they become Mohammedan, at least formally. His name was also changed, Sakar Malik, Zabir Khas. And they were made the prime ministers of spreading the Sankirtan movement, the Chaitanya cult. Sanatana, we are sitting here in Rupa Goswami's place. So officially they become Mohammedan. But by the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they became Goswami, Rupa Goswami. Ei chhaya Gosai jar karmai das, Narottam Das Thakur said that these 6 Goswamis, anyone who accepts these 6 Goswamis as authority, spiritual master, I am his servant. Therefore we Gaudiya Vaishnava, we are known as Rupanuga Vaishnava, following the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. So this is the process. So by following the footsteps of Rupa Goswami, the whole world can become purified. Sadhopi saddha savanaya kalpa. Not only purified, but they are purified so much so that they can be allowed to perform yajnas. Because performing yajna was entrusted to high-class brahmana, who is very expert in mantra, tantra, vichara, not ordinary brahmana. So a Vaishnava is recommended to take charge of performing sacrifices. Sadhopi saddha savanaya kalpa. So this is the exalted position. Haridas Thakur, actually, this was exemplified by Gadadhar, again, Advaita Prabhu. Advaita Prabhu happened to be, at that time, the president of the Brahmana society. Very learned scholar and Vaishnava. And he was entrusted to be the president of Brahmana society in Shantipur. So, when he performed the ritualistic ceremony after the death of his father, funeral ceremony, he offered the first prasadam to Haridas Thakur. So Haridas Thakur was little shy accepting that Advaita Prabhu, you have exalted me in so many ways, but because according to the Smarta Vidhan, when one is performing the funeral ceremony of his father, the first portion would be offered to the best of the Brahmins. So it was offered to Haridas Thakur. So Haridas Thakur felt little shyness that Advaita Prabhu, you love me, that is all right, but you are doing all these things, you may be socially ostracized. So Advaita Prabhu said, no, by feeding you, I am feeding 1 crore of best Brahmins. And let any Brahmana come to me, I shall convince him. That was his statement. So, this Krishna consciousness movement is so nice that we can accept anyone. It doesn't matter where from he is coming, and make him a pure Vaishnava. And following the footsteps of Advaita Prabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these Vaishnavas from foreign countries, those who are actually purified by the process of initiation, they should be accepted, they should not be neglected. Unfortunately, there is some silent protest that I am ruining the Hindu religion because I am initiating the Europeans and Americans. Therefore I am ruining Hindu religion. There is a grudge against me. But you can just consider these points, that I am going strictly according to the regulation given by the Goswamis and the Shastras. Shastra allows, Krishna says, Mang hi partha vapasrita jepishu papajani. Papajani, any papajani, it doesn't matter. If he takes regularly the shelter of Krishna, lotus feet of Krishna, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered that পৃথিবীতে আছে যত নগরাদি গ্রাম সর্বত্র প্রচার হইবে মোর নাম. He predicted. Practically, we are trying to carry out the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered that anyone who has taken birth as human being in Bharatvarsha, he should engage his life for paropakar. And he said also, পৃথিবীতে আছে যত নগরাদি গ্রাম, all over the world, as many towns and villages are there, my name will be established there. So we are trying to do that. So his name should be established. Does not mean that they should remain as javanas or mechas and they should simply know Lord Chaitanya. No. Actually the fact is that everyone should be elevated to the position of vaishnava, purified vaishnava, as is recommended in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Chaturvarnam maya system guna karma vibhagas. They should be made into brahmanas by qualifying them as brahmana. So the first condition is that anyone who comes to Krishna consciousness as a bona fide initiated member, he gives us all these abominable habits: no illicit sex, no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication. They have given up even smoking cigarette, even drinking tea, coffee. So they are all, after being qualified, they are accepted as Vaishnava and properly initiated. So they cannot be neglected as other than Brahmanas. That is not very good proposition. They are, according to Shastra, they are qualified. It may be due to some past habits, they may commit some mistake, and unconsciously, consciously, no Vaishnava commits any mistake, but maybe due to habit. That is also protected by Krishna. Apite suduracharo bhajate mamanannabha sadhureva samantapva. Even there are some discrepancies, but if the only one qualification is there, that is sticking to Krishna consciousness rigidly, he is sadhu. Sadhureva samantam. He is not to be neglected. So, these Europeans, Americans, devotees, according to the enunciation given by Rupa Goswami, as it is supported by Lord Krishna himself, as it is supported by Sukadeva Goswami, as it is supported by Sanatana Goswami, as it is ordered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are regularly initiated Vaishnava. They should not be neglected. That will be Vaishnava aparad, offense unto the Vaishnava. Out of all kinds of aparadhas, offenses, Vaishnava aparad is the most dangerous. Most dangerous. So, Vaishnava aparad is not excused by Vishnu. The instances what is called, I forget his name, Ambarish and Durvasa. Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni, because he offended to Ambarish Maharaj, he was not excused even by Vishnu. He had to fall down on the feet of Maharaj Ambarish. Yes, Ambarish Upaka. Yes. So Vaishnava Aparad is the greatest offense. Even a great sage like Durvasa was not excused. He was so great, Durvasa, that he could go personally to all the lokas, Brahma Loka, Shiva Loka, Vishnu Loka. Personally he could go by his yogic power. Just imagine how much he was powerful. He saw face to face Lord Vishnu and requested him to give him protection from the Sudarshan Chakra, and Vishnu refused. So I cannot give you protection because you are offended to a Vaishnava. Only Ambarish Maharaj can give you protection. Just see. He was so exalted yogi that he could see personally Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, but still he was not excused on account of his offense to a Vaishnava. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has warned very severely. Kar madhe Vaishnav aparad hati mata. Vaishnav aparad is the greatest offense. We should be very careful. According to our Vedic civilization, a Vaishnava, a saintly person, was never under the government laws. They were not under the why government laws? I mean Jamaraja's law. That is also stated. Jamaraja warned his servants not to approach Vaishnava. So Vaishnava's position is so great. So this Krishna consciousness movement is meant for turning everyone to become a pure Vaishnava. Pure Vaishnava. That is the actual aim of human life. As we are discussing this morning, mumuksha. The aim of human life is to get out of the clutches of Maya, repetition of birth and death, and transmigration from one body to another. That is the real aim of life. That is real freedom. So, if we neglect this opportunity, then we are called Atmaha. Atmaha means committing suicide. It's like a person knowingly committing suicide, cutting his throat. Similarly, a human being getting so much opportunity, especially in India, we have got so many books of knowledge, especially the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra means Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is explicit narration of the Vedanta Sutra. Bhasang Brahma Sutra. So, Indians especially should take advantage of this human form of life and spread this knowledge all over the world. Then the whole world will be peaceful and happy. That is our proposition. It is not I repeatedly say that this is not a religious cult, that we want to supersede another type of religion. That is not our business. Our aim is to make all people happy. Sarve sukhina bhavantu. This is the Vedic mission. Everyone should be happy. And they are trying to be happy, but they do not know how to become. Nati vidushartha gatingi Vishnu. They are misguided. They cannot be happy without becoming Vaishnava. This is open declaration in the Shastra. They cannot become happy. Nati vidushartha gatingi Vishnu durasaya. If they are trying to become happy, otherwise, that is durasaya. Hopeless thing. It will never be fructified. It will never be successful. Nati vidu. They do not know. Therefore our business is to make them know that this is the way of perfection. Take Krishna consciousness. Make your life perfect. Be happy. And go back to home, back to God. This is our mission. They do not know. So we are trying to convince them in so many ways. There is no need of so many ways. The one simple method, chanting a Hare Krishna mantra, will be sufficient to make them perfect. Cheta darpanam arjanam, bhava mahadavagni nidvapanam. The problems, bhava mahadavagni. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, mahadavagni, great forest fire. Forest fire, we have no experience immediately, but in America there is occasionally forest fire. They have got very good experience. There are many forests also. So the forest fire takes place automatically. Nobody goes to set fire. Similarly, in this material world, the blazing fire is always there. Problems, different problems. Bhava mahadavagni, nidvapanam. This will be extinguished immediately. It is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying. How? Parang vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Simply by spreading the Sankirtan movement, all the problems of the world will be immediately mitigated. So, to make people vaishnava, pure vaishnava, and to spread the Sankirtan movement, this is the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we are trying our best. Actually, it was the duty of the Indians, but fortunately, the Americans have taken it instead of Indians. Therefore, I have brought them. The Indians, you are forgetting your duty. The foreigners are doing your duty. So you should welcome them instead of driving them away by so many pleas. This is not very good. Yes, go on.
In the Padma Purana, there are 4 kinds of effects due to sinful activity, which are listed as follows. 1. The effect which is not yet fructified. 2. The effect which is lying as seed. 3. The effect which is already mature. And 4. The effect which is almost mature. It is also stated that all these 4 effects...
Kutastha, bij, prarabdha, like that. These are the our effects. Just like we can understand in modern, just like if you infect some disease, it becomes immediately kutastha. Kutastha means stock. In due course of time, it will come out, manifest. Similarly, we are acting so many sinful activities. Sometimes they complain that this man is committing so many sinful activities, but he is happy. But actually, he is enjoying the effects of his past, something past. Now he is happy. But that effect of the impious activities, that is in stock. It will come out in due course of time. That is called kutastha. Kutastha, phalanmok, prarabdha, these are the Sanskrit language. That is being explained here. Go on.
It is also stated that all these 4 effects become immediately vanquished for those who surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, and become engaged in his devotional service.
Yes. These 4 kinds of stages of sinful activities, in stock, almost fructified, manifest, all these stages of sinful activities can be immediately nullified, because it is assured by Krishna. Aham tva sarva pape bhamokkhesha. It is not imagination. If we believe in the words of Krishna, then there is no question of denying this fact. Krishna personally says, Aham tva sarva pape bhamok. Sarva pape. The kutastha, phalanmok, prarabdha, everything, it becomes immediately nullified. Simply by this process, by surrendering. Krishna, I was mistaken I forgot your mastership, you are my eternal Lord. So I was bewildered, I was wondering. Now I have come to my senses, I surrender unto you sincerely. You accept me. This very thing will give you immediately protection from all sinful activities. Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam saranam vaja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokkhayasya. Where is the difficulty? Let us surrender to Krishna and execute His will. Whatever is surrender means, I must be prepared to execute the will of Krishna, not my whims, but Krishna's will. The Krishna's will is that he become Krishna's devotee. Manmana bhava mad bhakta madhyati mang namaskuru. Where is the difficulty? You surrender unto him and he assures, Mame vaja prapadante mayame tang sarantit. Immediately he becomes relieved from the effects of illusory energy. So there is no difficulty. Not at all difficulty. Let us immediately become, surrender to Krishna's lotus feet. Think of him always, manmana bhava mad bhakta. To become his devotee. Always think of him. Manmana bhava mad bhakta mad jajimang namaskuru. Always worship me. Always offer obeisances. These are the four principles. Anyone can do it. There is no restriction for any caste, creed, nation. Everyone. It is open to the human being. So, if we actually want to be happy, we must take to Krishna consciousness. There is no other alternative. That is our point. Yes, go on.
Those effects described as almost mature refer to the distress from which one is suffering at present, and the effects lying as seeds means that in the core of the heart there is a certain stock of sinful desires which are like seeds. The Sanskrit word kutam means that they are almost ready to produce the seed or the effect of the seed. And immature effect refers to the case where the seedling has not yet begun. From this statement of Padma Purana, it is understood that material contamination is very subtle. Its beginning, its fruition, and results, and how one suffers such results in the form of distress are part of a great change. When one catches some disease, it is often very difficult to ascertain the cause of the disease, where it originated, and how it is maturing. The suffering of a disease, however, does not appear all of a sudden. It actually takes time. And, as in the medical field, for precaution's sake, the doctor injects the vaccinations to prevent the growing of contamination. Similarly, the practical injection to stop all the fructifications of the seeds of our sinful activity is simply engagement in
Krishna consciousness. This is the best injection. Take this injection and become free from all sinful reactions. Gone.
In this connection, Sukadeva Goswami speaks in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd chapter, 17th verse, about the story of a Jamil who began life as a fine and dutiful brahmana, but in his young manhood became wholly corrupted by a prostitute. At the end of his wicked life, just by calling the name of Narayana or Krishna, he was saved, despite so much sin. Shukadeva points out that our
Salpamapi asya dharma satrayate mahato bhaya. That is stated in the Bible. Salpamapi asya dharma. Little Krishna consciousness can save you from the greatest danger. The example is this Ajamil. Ajamil, he was the greatest sinful man. Similarly, Jagai Madhai. So, Krishna consciousness is so nice that from the life of Ajamila we understand. Simply by uttering the name of Narayana at the time of his death, he became eligible to be promoted to the Vaikuntha Loka. Wow. What is time? All right. Thank you very much.